What's going on, everybody? Tim from Tearphone Orbital. So today I would like to quickly do a demo on an install commission that I completed on a Jawas Junkyard, the Claw. I actually finished install on one of these a couple of weeks ago, and right behind it I had another one. So I'm not going to come in diffusion for this video because I feel like I just went over the chassis for this particular hilt. It's the same chassis. I've integrated the chassis into the upper section of the housing of the hilt itself. So it's just the exact same chassis, removable battery setup. It is a little bit tricky to work with to get the chassis out of the rest of the hilt. So I want to talk about that really quick, and then obviously we will do a demo. So without further ado, let's get right into it and come up top. This is the Claw from Jawas Junkyard. So the difference between this one and the one that I did previously is that this one came with the claw painted. So the client had this claw painted by a third party, and I happen to think that it looks really, really good. The cool thing about the material that this claw is made from, that comes from Jawas Junkyard, it takes paint very, very well. So this looks really, really cool, in my opinion, right? Really, really unique looking hilt. So, to get at your chassis, we do have a red button here. You want to unthread that red button. There are also 3 screws along the back spine of the hilt. This bottom screw can remain in the hilt at all times. Then you've got another 2. This middle one being it's a long threaded screw, and this top one is a regular black threaded screw. Actually, let me grab them. Probably would help if I had them for the video, right? So there are 2 screws. One is a long threaded screw, like just machine screws. And here is a shorter one, right? So when you're putting your battery in, you want to remove those top 2 screws, okay? Remove the red button. The top comes out of the hilt. So here is the chassis. I did do a pass of pewter rub and buff on this particular chassis. We've got a Proffie V2 in the back here. There is a kill switch at the bottom, and here is our battery tray. The hilt, or the chassis itself, marries up into the upper section of this emitter with a set screw, and I did put a bead of E6000 around that chassis as well, just to help it stay a little bit more secure, right? 24mm speaker at the bottom. This is from Smugglers Outpost. There is a red tactile button on the inside of the chassis here, and that is what the Graflex red button makes a contact to when you're pushing down on this red button. I also created for these builds on my chassis, the Graflex red button doesn't quite reach all the way into the chassis, so I do create a resin plunger, if you will, and I attach that to the underside of the Graflex red button so it can hit that tactile switch, right? So once you're ready, you want to get your battery. Flat part of your battery is negative side towards the speaker. Hit that kill switch. You will hear an audible cue. So the way that I put this in the hilt, I line up my switch hole on the emitter section with the switch hole and the rest on the other body of the hilt. Line up those 2 holes. I like to put the Graflex red button in first. It can be a little tricky, so I don't want to tighten those screws yet until I can get this threaded. Of course, first time's a charm. So sometimes it's just a little tricky given the size of the Graflex red button and the threads. It can be a little tricky threading that in. So then you want to take your threaded screw. So the long screw goes in the middle. The other shorter screw goes in the top. I'm not going to put that in for the video because I'm going to take this battery out in a second anyhow. But once you get your battery in and you are secured and screwed, you're ready to go. All right, let's come down to the bottom. Single button setup, so that red Graflex red button is your activation. I think I mentioned this with the last the last Jawas claw that I did, to my surprise, there is really adequate sound venting in this claw, right? So this is a single button setup. To scroll through your fonts, you want to long press and release to scroll through your fonts.
I am no Jedi.
Twist to activate, twist to deactivate are all on. Let's put a blade in it. So this is a 1-inch blade holder. There is also a set screw around back here. Nice chunky set screw. You want to rest your blade on those PCB pins. Whoops. You want to rest your blade on those PCB pins and tighten that set screw. And you're ready to go. See what else we put on here.
Inquisitorious.
One more.
You know, I was a Jedi.
Sister.
To my surprise, too, this actually does feel pretty good in hand. It almost feels like you're holding an axe handle. I don't know. Maybe that's just me. But anyhow, so that's it. Just a quick rundown and demo on the claw from Jawas Junkyard. To the client, thank you very much for trusting me with this install. To the viewers, if anyone has any questions about this particular hilt or the install, please do not be a stranger. And with that being said, thanks for watching, everybody. Have a good one. May the Force be with you always.